What happens when royalty meets reality TV and entitlement collides with a host who refuses to back down? In just 29 seconds, a single comment would turn a routine interview into television chaos, ending with a prince being escorted off set. This is the story of how Prince Harry went from guest to gone. The lights in the studio were bright that afternoon. Tamron Hall sat in her chair, poised and professional as always. Across from her sat Prince Harry, dressed in a dark suit, looking relaxed. The audience had no idea what was about to unfold. This was supposed to be a standard promotional interview, but sometimes things do not go according to plan. Tamron started with a smile. "Thank you so much for being here today. We are so excited to have you." Prince Harry nodded. "Happy to be here. So let's dive right in," Tamron said, leaning forward slightly. "You have been very vocal about privacy, about wanting to live a normal life away from the spotlight. But you also seem to be everywhere. Books, interviews, documentaries. Some people are confused by that. Can you help us understand?" The question was fair, straightforward, the kind of question any journalist would ask. But something shifted in Prince Harry's expression. His smile faded. His jaw tightened. "Well, I think that is a very simplistic way of looking at it," he said. His tone suddenly cold. Tamron kept her composure. "I do not think it is simplistic at all. I think it is a question a lot of people have. You talk about wanting privacy, but you are also very public. How do you balance that?" "I do not think you understand what it is like," Prince Harry said, his voice rising slightly. "You do not know what it is like to have your life torn apart by the press, to have lies written about you every single day." "You are absolutely right," Tamron said calmly. "I do not know what that is like, but I do know what it is like to ask tough questions, and that is my job, and I think my audience deserves an answer." The audience was silent. You could feel the tension building. Prince Harry leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "Your audience," he repeated, almost mockingly. "Do they deserve to know about your bias?" Tamron's eyebrows raised. "My bias?" "Yes," Prince Harry said. "You clearly came into this interview with an agenda. You are trying to make me look like a hypocrite." "I am not trying to make you look like anything," Tamron responded, her voice steady but firm. "I am asking you a question that people want answered. If you feel that is unfair, then maybe the issue is not with the question." Prince Harry shook his head, a bitter smile on his face. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly the kind of treatment that made us leave in the first place. The disrespect, the constant attacks." "I have not attacked you," Tamron said. "I asked you one question." "A loaded question," Prince Harry shot back. "It was not loaded," Tamron insisted. "It was honest, and if you cannot handle honest questions, then maybe you should not be doing interviews." The audience gasped. It was subtle, but you could hear it. Tamron Hall had just drawn a line in the sand. This was her show, her stage, and she was not going to be pushed around. Prince Harry's face flushed red. "Maybe I should not be doing interviews with people who do not respect me." "Respect is earned," Tamron said. "And right now, you are sitting in my chair, on my show, acting like I owe you something. I do not owe you anything. I am giving you a platform. The least you can do is answer a simple question." Prince Harry stood up. "I do not have to sit here and take this." "You are right," Tamron said, standing up as well. "You do not. But if you walk out of here, everyone is going to know why. They are going to know that you could not handle one question. One simple question about your own contradictions." Prince Harry pointed at her. "You do not get to talk to me like that." "Like what?" Tamron asked. "Like a journalist? Like someone who is not going to bow down just because you have a title?" "You are being incredibly rude," Prince Harry said. "I am being honest," Tamron replied. "There is a difference." The tension was thick now. The crew members were looking at each other, unsure of what to do. The audience sat frozen, watching this train wreck unfold in real time. Prince Harry took a step closer. "You know what your problem is? You think you are better than me. You think because you have this little show, you can treat people however you want." "Little show?" Tamron repeated, and for the first time, there was an edge to her voice. "This little show has been on the air for years. This little show has given voices to people who have none, and you come in here, acting like you are doing me a favor by gracing me with your presence. That is not how this works. I am a prince," Harry said, as if that explained everything. "And I am a host," Tamron said. "And in this studio, I am the one in charge, not you. not your title, not your family name, me. So if you want to storm out of here because you did not like my question, go ahead. But do not expect me to apologize for doing my job." Prince Harry stared at her for a long moment. You could see the calculation in his eyes. He was weighing his options. Stay and look weak. Leave and look like he could not handle the heat. "This is unbelievable," he muttered. "What is unbelievable," Tamron said, "is that you came on this show expecting to be coddled, expecting softball questions and praise. That is not what we do here. We have real conversations. And if you are not ready for that, then you should not have come." Prince Harry turned to one of the producers standing off to the side. "Are you going to let her talk to me like this?" The producer looked uncomfortable. Tamron is the host. She asked the questions she feels are important. "Unbelievable," Prince Harry said again. "Absolutely unbelievable. Do you know who I am?" "Yes," Tamron said. "You have made that very clear. But the question is, do you know where you are? This is not a palace. This is not a place where people bow and scrape. This is a talk show. And on a talk show, people ask questions. Hard questions. Questions you might not like. That is the whole point." Prince Harry ran his hand through his hair, clearly frustrated. "I came here in good faith." "And I am asking questions in good faith," Tamron said. "But you are acting like asking you to explain yourself is some kind of attack. It is not. It is journalism." "Journalism," Prince Harry scoffed. "Is that what you call this? Ambushing your guests?" "I did not ambush you," Tamron said, her voice rising now. "I asked you one question. One. And you have spent the last 10 minutes deflecting, insulting me, and throwing a tantrum. If anyone is being disrespectful here, it is you," the audience murmured in agreement. You could feel the tide turning. They had come to see Prince Harry, but now they were firmly on Tamron's side. Prince Harry must have felt it too, because his expression changed. He looked around the studio, seeing the faces of the audience members, seeing the cameras still rolling. "You are going to regret this," he said quietly. Tamron tilted her head. "Is that a threat?" "It is a fact," Prince Harry said. "You have no idea who you are dealing with." "Actually," Tamron said, "I think I do. I am dealing with someone who cannot handle criticism. Someone who thinks their title makes them untouchable. Someone who came on this show expecting to be treated like royalty and is now upset because they are being treated like everyone else." "I am not like everyone else," Prince Harry said. "In here, you are," Tamron responded. "In here, you are just another guest. And if you cannot accept that, then maybe you should leave." Prince Harry's face went through a range of emotions: anger, frustration, embarrassment. He looked like he wanted to say something, to fire back with something devastating, but nothing came. "Fine," he said finally. "I will leave. But this is not over." "Yes, it is," Tamron said. "It is very much over." Prince Harry turned toward the exit, but before he could take more than a few steps, Tamron spoke again. "Just so we are clear," she said, her voice carrying across the studio. "You are leaving because you could not answer one question about your own choices. You are leaving because you expected special treatment and did not get it. You are leaving because you cannot handle accountability. I want to make sure everyone watching understands that." Prince Harry spun around. "You have some nerve." "I have a job," Tamron said, "and I am good at it. That is why people watch this show. Not because I am nice to everyone, not because I let people walk all over me, but because I ask the questions that matter. And if you are too fragile to handle that, then that is on you, not me." "Fragile?" Prince Harry repeated, his voice dangerously low. "You think I am fragile?" "I think you cannot handle being challenged," Tamron said. "I think you have lived in a bubble for so long that you forgot what real life is like. Real life is tough questions. Real life is people disagreeing with you. Real life is not having everything handed to you on a silver platter." "You do not know anything about my life," Prince Harry said. "And you do not know anything about mine," Tamron countered. "But I am not the one having a meltdown on national television. That is all you." Prince Harry took a step toward her, and immediately, security moved closer. He noticed and stopped. "You are really enjoying this, are not you?" he said. "I am not enjoying anything," Tamron said. "I am disappointed. I was actually looking forward to this interview. I thought we could have a real conversation. But instead, you came in here with an attitude, got defensive over one question, and turned this into a circus. That is not on me. That is on you." "A circus," Prince Harry muttered. "You want to see a circus? Wait until my lawyers get involved." Tamron actually laughed at that. It was not a mean laugh, but it was genuine. Your lawyers? For what? For me asking you about your public contradictions? Good luck with that. You are mocking me, Prince Harry said. I am responding to you, Tamron said. And honestly, at this point, I think we are done here. You clearly do not want to have an actual conversation. You want to be praised. You want to be told how brave you are, and I am not going to do that. So, yes, maybe it is best if you leave. I already said I was leaving, Prince Harry said. Then leave, Tamron said simply. No one is stopping you. But Prince Harry did not move. He just stood there, staring at her, as if waiting for her to back down, to apologize, to beg him to stay. Tamron did not blink. The silence stretched out. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15. The audience did not know where to look. This was uncomfortable. This was awkward. This was incredible television. Finally, Prince Harry shook his head. You are impossible. I have been called worse, Tamron said with a shrug. Prince Harry looked at the producer again. You are really going to air this? The producer glanced at Tamron, who nodded slightly. Unless you want to sit back down and actually answer the question, the producer said carefully, then yes, this is what we have. Prince Harry let out a bitter laugh. Unbelievable. This whole thing is unbelievable. It does not have to be, Tamron said, her voice softer now. You can sit back down. We can start over. But you have to be willing to have an honest conversation. No defensiveness, no insults, just honesty. Can you do that? For a moment, it seemed like Prince Harry might actually consider it. His shoulders relaxed slightly. He looked at the chair he had been sitting in, but then something changed. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe he just could not let go of the anger. No, he said, I am not giving you the satisfaction. This is not about satisfaction, Tamron said. This is about having a real conversation. With someone who ambushed me? I do not think so. I did not ambush you, Tamron said, and now she sounded tired. I asked you one question. That is it. One question. And you could not handle it. You turned it into this. Not me. You. Think whatever you want, Prince Harry said. I do not care. Clearly you do, Tamron said, because if you did not care, you would have just answered the question and moved on. But instead, you made this into a big dramatic scene, and now everyone watching is going to remember this. Not what you came here to promote. Not your message. Just this. Just you, unable to handle a simple question. Prince Harry's jaw clenched. You really think you won here, do not you? This is not about winning, Tamron said. This is not a competition. This is supposed to be an interview. But you turned it into a battle, and now we are both standing here looking ridiculous. So, no, nobody won. We both lost. But at least I did my job. Your job, Prince Harry said with contempt. Yes, Tamron said firmly. My job, which is to ask questions, which is to hold people accountable, which is to not just be a mouthpiece for whatever message you came here to push. That is what journalism is. And I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable, but that is reality. Prince Harry looked around the studio one more time, at the cameras, at the crew, at the audience. Everyone was staring at him, waiting to see what he would do next. This is going to blow up in your face, he said to Tamron. Maybe, Tamron said, or maybe people will appreciate that I did not back down, that I treated you like I would treat anyone else, that I asked the questions that needed to be asked. We will see. Prince Harry walked toward the exit, but he stopped one more time and turned around. You know what the worst part is, he said. I actually thought you were different. I thought you would understand. Understand what? Tamron asked. What it is like to be attacked all the time. What it is like to have people twist your words. What it is like to never get a fair shot. Tamron was quiet for a moment, then she spoke, her voice gentle but firm. I do understand that, she said. I understand that better than you might think. But understanding your pain does not mean I'm going to stop asking tough questions. Those two things can exist at the same time. I can have empathy for you and still hold you accountable. That is what real journalism looks like. Prince Harry stared at her. For just a second, something flickered across his face. Maybe recognition, maybe respect. But it was gone as quickly as it appeared. Too little, too late, he said. And with that, he walked out. The studio was silent. Tamron stood there for a moment, watching him leave. Then she turned to the camera. We will be right back, she said calmly. The cameras cut. The audience erupted into applause. Tamron Hall had just stood her ground against a prince. She had not backed down. She had not apologized. She had done exactly what a good journalist is supposed to do. She had asked the tough questions, even when the answers were uncomfortable. As the crew scrambled to figure out what to do next, Tamron sat back down in her chair. She took a sip of water. She looked tired, but she also looked satisfied. She had done her job, and she had done it well. The producer rushed over. "Are you okay?" Tamron nodded. "I am fine." "That was intense, but I am fine." "That was more than intense," the producer said. "That was insane." "Do you realize what just happened?" "I asked a question," Tamron said simply, "and he could not handle it." "But he is Prince Harry," the producer said. "And I am Tamron Hall," she replied. "And in this studio, on this show, we do not give anyone a free pass, not even royalty." The audience was still buzzing. People were whispering to each other, pulling out their phones, no doubt already texting friends and family about what they had just witnessed. This was going to be everywhere. Social media was going to explode. But Tamron did not seem worried. She seemed calm, centered. She had done what she believed was right, and she was at peace with that. One of the crew members approached. Security escorted him out of the building. He left in a car. Tamron nodded. "Okay, thank you." "What do we do now?" the crew member asked. "We keep going," Tamron said. "We have a show to finish. Get the next guest ready." "Are you sure?" the producer asked. "We could take a break, regroup." "No," Tamron said. "We are not letting this derail us. We are going to keep going. That is what professionals do." The crew got back to work. The audience settled down, and Tamron Hall prepared to continue her show as if a prince had not just walked off her set. Because at the end of the day, that is what she does. She shows up. She asks the hard questions. She does not back down, and she keeps going, no matter what. Some might say she was too harsh. Some might say she should have been more gentle, more accommodating. But Tamron Hall knew the truth. She knew that treating someone with kid gloves just because of their title or their fame is not journalism. It is public relations. And she was not in the public relations business. She was in the truth business. And sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. Sometimes the truth makes people angry. Sometimes the truth makes people storm off your set. But it is still the truth, and it still needs to be told. As the commercial break ended and the cameras came back on, Tamron looked directly into the lens. "Welcome back," she said with a smile. "As you just saw, sometimes interviews do not go as planned. Sometimes people do not want to answer tough questions, but we are not going to dwell on that. We have an amazing show lined up for you, and we are going to keep moving forward because that is what we do here. We keep going. We keep asking questions. We keep seeking the truth. And we never, ever back down." The audience applauded again. They were with her. They understood what she had done. She had stood up for journalism. She had stood up for accountability. She had stood up for the idea that no one, not even a prince, is above being asked tough questions. And in that moment, Tamron Hall was exactly who she had always been. A journalist, a host, a woman who refused to be intimidated, no matter who was sitting across from her. The rest of the show went smoothly. The other guests were gracious and engaging. But everyone knew that was not what people would be talking about. They would be talking about the prince who walked off. They would be talking about the host who did not blink. They would be talking about the moment when entitlement met reality and reality won. Because that is what happened. In just 29 seconds, with just one comment, Prince Harry had sealed his fate. He had shown the world that he could not handle being challenged, that he expected special treatment, that he thought his title made him immune to scrutiny. And Tamron Hall had shown the world something too. She had shown them that she was not afraid, that she would not be bullied, that she believed in her job and her responsibility to ask the questions that needed to be asked. It was not about being mean. It was not about being disrespectful. It was about being honest, about being real, about treating everyone the same, regardless of who they were or what title they held. And that is why, in the end, it was Prince Harry who walked off the set, not Tamron Hall. Because when you cannot handle the truth, when you cannot handle being held accountable, then you do not belong in the spotlight. You do not belong in front of the cameras. You do not belong on a talk show where real conversations happen. Prince Harry wanted a platform. He wanted praise. He wanted to control the narrative. But Tamron Hall was not going to give him that. She was going to do what she always does: ask questions, seek truth, hold people accountable, and if that meant a prince walking off her set, then so be it. Because some things are more important than having a famous guest. Some things are more important than ratings or publicity or making people comfortable. The truth is more important. Journalism is more important. Integrity is more important. And that is exactly what Tamron Hall proved that day. She proved that she would not compromise her values, not for anyone. She proved that she would stand her ground, even when it was difficult. She proved that she was exactly the kind of journalist the world needs more of. So yes, Prince Harry walked off her set. He stormed out because he could not handle one question, because he thought his title protected him from accountability, because he expected to be treated differently than everyone else. But Tamron Hall did not flinch. She did not apologize. She did not back down. She stood there, calm and professional, and did her job, exactly as she should have. And that is why, when people look back on this moment, they will remember Tamron Hall as the hero of the story. Not because she was mean or disrespectful, but because she was honest. Because she was fair, because she treated a prince the same way she would treat anyone else. With tough questions, with high expectations, with a refusal to accept anything less than the truth. That is what good journalism looks like. That is what integrity looks like. That is what happens when someone refuses to be intimidated by power or privilege or titles. Tamron Hall showed the world all of that in just one interview. One explosive, dramatic, unforgettable interview. An interview that started with a simple question and ended with a prince walking off the set. An interview that proved, once and for all, that Tamron Hall is not just a host. She is a journalist, a real one, the kind who asks the hard questions and does not flinch when people do not like the answers, the kind the world needs more of, the kind who will not back down, no matter what, the kind who understands that truth and accountability matter more than comfort or approval or keeping people happy. And that is exactly why Prince Harry left, because he was not ready for that kind of conversation. He was not ready to be challenged. He was not ready to be held accountable. But Tamron Hall was ready. She was ready to do her job no matter what. And she did it perfectly, with grace, with strength, with unwavering commitment to the truth. That is the real story. Not that a prince walked off a set, but that a journalist stood her ground, that she refused to be bullied, that she asked the questions that needed to be asked, even when it was hard, even when it was uncomfortable, even when it meant losing a guest. Because at the end of the day, that is what matters. Not the drama, not the spectacle, but the commitment to truth and accountability and treating everyone the same. Tamron Hall did all of that, and she did it without breaking a sweat, without raising her voice beyond what was necessary, without losing her composure. She simply did her job. And in doing so, she reminded everyone watching what real journalism looks like, what integrity looks like, what strength looks like. It looks like a woman sitting in her chair, asking a tough question, and refusing to back down when someone does not like it. It looks like holding people accountable, even when they are rich or famous or powerful. It looks like treating a prince the same way you would treat anyone else, with respect, yes, but also with honesty, with fairness, with a refusal to accept anything less than a real answer to a real question. That is what Tamron Hall gave us. And that is why, when the dust settled and the prince was gone, she was still there, still in her chair, still doing her show, still being exactly who she has always been. A journalist who will not be intimidated, a host who will not be bullied, a woman who knows her worth and will not compromise her values for anyone or anything. That is the story. That is what people will remember. Not the tantrum, not the walk-off, but the woman who stood her ground and refused to back down. The woman who proved that titles do not matter when the truth is on the line. The woman who showed us all what real journalism looks like in action. Tamron Hall, professional, strong, unshakable, exactly the kind of person we need asking the tough questions. Exactly the kind of person we need holding the powerful accountable. Exactly the kind of person we need refusing to give anyone a free pass, no matter who they are. And that is why, in the end, she won. Not because she wanted to win, but because she stayed true to herself, because she did her job, because she never wavered, never doubted, never backed down. She asked a question, and when the answer turned into a tantrum, she did not flinch. She stood there, calm and collected, and let the world see exactly what happens when entitlement meets accountability. The entitled person walks away, but the person with integrity stays, keeps going, Keeps asking questions, keeps seeking truth, keeps doing the job, no matter what. That is Tamron Hall. That is her legacy. And that is exactly what she proved when Prince Harry walked off her set. She proved that she is the real deal, a journalist through and through, someone who will always choose truth over comfort, accountability over approval, integrity over everything else, and we are all better for it. The cameras captured everything, every word, every expression, every moment of tension between a host doing her job and a guest who expected special treatment. And as the footage would later show, it was clear who maintained their professionalism and who lost control. Tamron Hall never raised her voice unnecessarily. She never resorted to name-calling. She never made it personal. She simply asked a question and stood by her right to ask it. That is what journalists do. That is what hosts do. That is what people who care about truth do. Prince Harry showed everyone watching exactly who he was in that moment. Someone who could not handle criticism, someone who thought his title gave him immunity from tough questions, someone who believed that being royal meant being above accountability. But Tamron Hall showed him, and the world, that no one is above accountability. Not in her studio, not on her show, not in the world of real journalism. And that is the lesson here. That is what people will take away from this moment. Not that a prince walked off a set, but that a journalist refused to compromise. That she stood firm in her beliefs and did what was right, no matter the cost.